Hi everyone, I'm Liz Brown Swanson and welcome to Around the Peninsula. Today I'm at the Point Vicente Interpretive Center where there is so much happening here. I came for today's local annual Books and Authors Signing. It was a chance for the community to come together, meet some of our fabulous local authors, hear about their stories, and buy their books.
Today, like you said, it is an annual event. It happens every year, usually the first Saturday in November. What we do is we bring together a lot of our local authors. They're not just any local author, they have to have topics that really relate to our museum here, and kind of like the purpose of us is to educate and really share that with the community. So that's the goal we strive for.
And of course, educating about marine life, coastal community that we are.
Yeah, so you'll see we have like children's books that are on sea life. We also have a book on fossils, geology, just the local history as well. So it's just kind of a plethora of things that you can learn about the hill and kind of our surroundings here.
I'm Barbara Hart. I'm a local author here in Rancho Palos Verdes. I've lived here 35 years, and I started writing my Octopus Rex series about 16 years ago. And I have 4 in the series, and it's been such joy and such great fun. And they all come with a CD with music. I wrote all the songs, and I sing the songs. I was up for a Grammy Award, but I lost to The Lion King.
How could they do that? Your work is incredible. I know we're going to talk to your illustrator who is here as well. Share about this latest, is Octopus Rex Saves Christmas. What's this all about?
It just came off the boat, literally. I just got it from the printer overseas about 3 days ago. I decided how much fun it would be if Santa Claus landed in your living room and his bag broke. And then he gets Octopus Rex and his friend Timmy to help him save Christmas. And they get to go all around the world in the sleigh with Santa Claus, and they save Christmas for Santa Claus. Every story has a little moral to it and a little lesson.
Well, you are the talented illustrator for Barbara's books, the Octopus Rex series, some of those books. Talk about what goes into your work and where you get your inspiration.
I get my inspiration mainly from Barbara, and we have great sessions together. When we start out, we'll meet, we do storyboards, and I don't know, we just have so much positive energy.
How long have you been an illustrator, and do you work on other children's books?
Barbara Hart's is my first children's book, and actually I started out in technical illustration with Hughes Aircraft and then Raytheon, so very different kind of art.
Hi, I'm Sheri Fink. I am the author of 9 #1 best-selling books, including The Little Rose, The Little Seahorse, and the brand new Little Unicorn. And I write books that have social emotional learning in them. So the child's reading and they discover something about themselves in the process that improves their self-esteem.
I like writing middle grade chapter books, or what I'm most known for, a series called Scary School, and I have a brand new one called Principal Mikey, about a 10-year-old kid who becomes principal of his school. My books are designed to make kids laugh, and through laughter fall in love with reading. And I also write bilingual picture books that teach kids Spanish and English. I became a writer because I just always had a big imagination. That was kind of my gift, and I have expressed it many different ways. My favorite was through children's books. So I loved writing weird, crazy, wild stories.
For me, I'm very passionate about inspiring kids to really believe in themselves and go for it in life. And I think that is the most rewarding job you can ever have, is that because of something that you created, someone believes that they can do it too. I actually lived in South Bay for a long time, and I did a lot of my writing at the Terranea Resort. I'm very inspired by the ocean, as you can see, because I have 2 ocean books here for kids. But not only do I write children's books, but I also write romance for adults. And one of my books was written almost the entirety in Terranea.
You met through your work, and here you are married, and that's amazing. Tell us a little bit about your own love story.
We were doing a school visit together. We were both authors invited to a school to do a show, and that's where we met. And we started dating here in Torrance shortly thereafter. We had our first date down the street here.
And the book, The Counting Sea Life for the Little Seahorse, you've done that together. Did you say you have other works that you've both done together? Or is this the one and only?
One. That's our first one. I'm sure there'll be many more.
I came to see Sheri Fink. She has written a series of books about sea life. Our friend Carla Dominguez bought a book and had it signed for our granddaughter who just turned 2. We gave it to her for her birthday, and she loves it. She shows everyone, because on the back page you can put a picture of the child, and she shows everyone the picture. So we came back and we got 2 more books so that we can take them to her when we see her in about 2 weeks.
What she's in love with is the little seahorse. You said she can put her photo in the back.
actually, Counting Sea Life. And on the very back, you learn all about the different animals, or the sea life, and then at the back, there's a place, here we go, where you can put the child's photo. So that you're reading the book, and all of a sudden you turn the page, and the child sees herself in with all of the other sea life. And she loves, there's the seahorse, and the octopus, and the crab, everyone that she loves.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Dreyer, the author of Not a Purse, and this book is all about the animals that we wear or use in our home and alternatives for other things to use.
So what makes your book special, and talk about sort of what went in behind it with you in putting this together?
So I was really inspired. Kids inspire me to educate and just build awareness about all the different ways that we use animals. As kids, we are so in love with animals, and we're wanting to help and do all these little things, and we kind of lose that connection as they get older. So I thought it was a great opportunity to share with kids and educate them about all the ways that we use animals that we might not even think about it, and share some ideas for maybe some alternatives so that they don't have to wear their animal friends.
And you've got your animal masks. Is this something that you brought for fun, or does this go along with the book?
So when I do book readings, the kids love to act out. Each page features a different animal, and so when I read about that particular animal, that child gets to stand up and act out and make noises that go along with the animal's character. So, not a sweater. Did you know that rabbits can see better than we can? Rabbits have nearly 360-degree vision. They can see everything behind them with only a blind spot in front of their nose. Let's see, what else makes it special?
So where can you find this book? Obviously here.
So you can find the book here, yes, at the Point Vicente Interpretive Center, and then it's also available on Amazon. Something that I'm really proud and excited about is Chris Carr, who's a New York Times bestselling author, wrote the foreword for this, and she's really well known in the plant-based world and is a big animal lover and supporter of animal rights. So I'm really excited to have her partnered in the book. And the illustrations and the facts really make this, I think, really unique. The book took a lot of research to find fun facts that kids could relate and identify with. So you learn a lot when you're reading this too. You're not just having fun, but you're getting some knowledge in there too.
Well, I'm just learning now. Did you know that cows know their names just like we do? They can recognize their name when they're called. I had no idea.
Yes, and pigs too. Pigs are just like dogs pretty much. They have they're just as great at pets as dogs. And did you know, this is another fact that's in here, pigs can learn to play video games with a joystick just like kids can. So, I mean, there's a lot that kids can relate to. I tried to find facts that a child could relate to and kind of personify and then see in themselves. So that was really fun to put together in this book.
Being joined by Peninsula resident Beth Whittenbury, you are also an author, but you're here representing the book called The Vaquita. Talk about the book about the Vaquita.
So this book, which was written by Bodeo-Lomicky, when he was 14 years old, was the only book about the vaquita at the time. And it is about the world's most endangered marine mammal, which is the Mexican vaquita porpoise. Vaquita is Spanish for little cow, so down there they call it the vaquita marina to distinguish it, of course, from an actual little cow. But there's only about 30 left now in the world, we think. That's our best estimate. And the group that Aiden belongs to, that my son was also involved with, the Musqua Club, started our awareness efforts for the vaquita about 6 years ago when there were 250, and we have been watching them slowly dwindle down. The good news is that we feel that our campaign to raise awareness has helped, because now there's been a 60 Minutes episode about the vaquita, and some celebrities have been tweeting about it, and so we have at least gotten, the awareness level out there about it more.
And you're sitting here next to your book. You're also an author. Just love him, I guess. I know it's not on sale here at the Point Vicente Interpretive Center because it doesn't have a marine theme. But talk a little bit as a local author about your book.
Well, so my book was based on things that my son did when he was little that frustrated me. All parents have that happen with their little ones. But what we did in our house was every time he did something that made me say, "What am I going to do with you?" then I would stop and say, "Oh, just love you, I guess." And it became a running theme. And then one day I did something that frustrated him, and he said, "What am I going to do with you?" And then he went, Oh, that's right. Just love you, I guess. And so that's how the book ends, showing that as parents, if we demonstrate the right behavior, our kids do learn from our example.
Let's start off with you, Brian. Explain a little bit about the books that you have here and the one specifically that we'll find here at the Interpretive Center.
Well, the only one that they actually sell at the Interpretive Center here is Haunted San Pedro. And I kind of cheated when I wrote this book. I actually used the original Rancho San Pedro boundaries rather than the new city of San Pedro. So the book spans from the original Dominguez adobe all the way around to the lighthouse, the Point Vicente lighthouse right here.
So where are the haunted spots in San Pedro?
Well, in the city proper, you have Fort MacArthur, you have the USS Iowa, you have the Warner Grand Theater. Believe it or not, you actually have the Vincent Thomas Bridge as well, including the Catalina Terminal below it. And we won't talk about what they hear below the bridge.
How did you become interested in this to write scary books?
Well, I don't consider the books scary. I find them more informative. I like to joke about the fact that I trick people into learning about history by telling them about ghosts. And the books have a lot of history in them rather than just all ghost stories. But what got me involved with it was trying to reconnect with my son. When he was 18 years old, he had aged out of the Boy Scouts, and I was trying to find something to do with him that we could reconnect. And he said, let's go ghost hunting. And my first thought was, you need a psychiatrist. But we started to do it. We were having so much fun that I stuck with it. He ended up going to school and stopped doing it. And then I started writing notes, and my wife looked at it and said, you ought to see if you can put that together as a book. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a try. Found out that I just loved writing. Sought a couple publishers. One of the publishers accepted, while one of the other publishers, that would be the History Press, was turning down my California's Historic Haunts book. The acquisitions editor asked if I knew about the Queen Mary, and I was like, yeah, we have an office on board. And he said, can you write a book? And I said, yes. And I've been writing ever since.
It's great to be joined by local author and resident Ginger Clark. Images of Rancho Palos Verdes. This book is special. It's here at the PVIC all the time. Talk about your book and what it brings to the community.
Oh, well, I'll tell you. The only book about the community was Time in the Terrace Land by Augusta Fink long ago. And that was all we had. And when the acquisitions editor called me and said, I want a book on the hill, he did not know there were 4 cities here. So I told him, well, I really want to do Rancho Palos Verdes because I live here. And he said, okay, great. And so I started on that. But the city didn't seem to have a definition. It's so broad and so big and so horseshoe-ish. So I had to work on that. And I did find that the people who live here defined the city. We really have some really special people who came here initially. There were people who didn't want to live in the city, so they were independent people, but wanted to live close enough to work. So we ended up with the usual movie people and so forth. But more than that, we had our lighthouse and we had all kinds of stuff. Anyway, once the book was published, then people in RPV began to say, oh, I've got a story too. I've got things I can say about RPV too. So all of a sudden what started as just the one book, Time in the Terrace Land, and then my book, once my book was out, a whole bunch of books came out about RPV and about Palos Verdes and about the Peninsula and so forth. So that's been kind of cool.
Joe, I'm here with you. You've got your book, Fossils of the Palos Verdes Hills. Tell us about your book.
I've lived here all my life, and I worked at the Natural History Museum for 33 years. And then when I retired, I wanted to do something for Palos Verdes, so I wrote the book. It took about 4 years. So I wrote a book on the fossils of Palos Verdes.
So what kinds of fossils are you showcasing?
Well, basically there's 2 ages in Palos Verdes. There's the Miocene Altamira Shale, which is about 14 to 16 million years old. And then we have the Pleistocene, which is less than 1 million.
Now, it says your book is a pictorial guide. Where do the pictures come from?
I took them all myself. I went through a lot of different people's collections and some things I found, but yeah, there's a lot of different people's collections.
So what are some of the more interesting fossils you like to highlight?
Well, some of these really nice ones, like this fossil fish here. This is just beautiful. This was found out by Point Fermin. And of course you get shark's teeth, the big megalodon. This is a small one, but they get up to 6 inches. They found them around here. And I think the most interesting thing was on display here at the Interpretive Center is a bison pelvis. This was associated with it. And it was had cut marks on it where it had been butchered by early humans. And it was dated at 13,500 years old. So it's the oldest signs of humans in California. It was right here in Palos Verdes.
Do you go out and dig for these all the time, or what's
I go out all the time. Every week I go out hiking the hill looking for stuff. Yep.
So what's one of your more recent find?
Well, that bison pelvis was probably most exciting. That was a few years ago, but I still find shark's teeth and shells and stuff like that around.
Fossils of the Palos Verdes Hills. Do you have any other books coming out? And to you, what has made this one special?
Third book, and that's enough. It's a lot of work to publish a book. A lot of work. It was 4 years in the making.
I'm being joined by Avetta Williams and Ann Dahlke's with their beautiful Native Wildflowers book. It's a must-have for anyone that wants to learn about native flowers. So just start sharing a little bit about native wildflowers of the Palos Verdes Peninsula.
What we wrote this book for was for the public. This is not for botanists. This is for somebody who really doesn't know what the plants are, and they'll be hiking or walking through the native plant garden here and see something blooming and wonder, what is that plant? What's interesting is we live in the Mediterranean climate zone, and it only covers 2.25% of the total Earth's landmass, and yet we have a huge share of the diversity of plant species. It's really disproportionate. And that's mainly because the climate is so different. Everywhere you go in the world, most of the places it rains in the summertime. That's when the precipitation comes. But here locally, it rains in the wintertime. Occasionally, but not in the summer. So all the plants here are adapted to surviving the summer drought. There's always something blooming. So here we are, it's November, and I can see out the window the coyote brush is pushing white flowers. And there's always something for the nectaring insects to eat, and then the insects to eat the other insects, and the whole circle of life.
I'm Joan Milani, and this is about the Secret Society of the Palos Verdes Lizards. It's about a mother and her garden and the family of lizards she takes care of and her family, and it's all about here in Rancho Palos Verdes and San Pedro area. Nature, raccoons, peacocks, and then at the end there's a lesson about how we take care of the generations of the animals and our families.
What makes your grandmother's book special after you've read it and seen what she put together?
Well, it kind of talks about like our whole family and everything, which is like really nice because it incorporates like my dad's side of the family and her side of the family, which is really nice.
My name is Aimee, Lissantheia, the author of The Amazing Adventures of Melissa Bee, which is an adventure story based in the true life cycle of the honeybee to bring awareness to the gifts and the wisdom that they bring to us.
Tell us a little bit more about The Amazing Adventures of Melissa Bee. What's Melissa up to?
It goes through the life cycle, all the tasks that she has inside of the hive. And my biggest inspiration was the middle part, where she goes from living inside of the hive with all of her sisters and brothers, and then becomes old enough to go out to forage for the benefit of her whole family. But what is that step like when she has to step out into the unknown, into this great big world of mystery and wonder and beauty and service for the highest good of all?
You've had your book out on the shelf here at the PVIC Bookshop for about a year now. Talk about this as a great place for local authors to be.
Yeah, this is a wonderful resource. They really, truly care about nature and honoring nature. And they have a beautiful collection of wonderful books that inspire children to expand in their knowledge.
Hi, my name is Alexandra. My book is called PAVO, Finding New. It is about a young peacock who tries to stop his grandfather from growing old, and he discovers a library with stories, and he brings stories home to his grandfather.
So what's the message behind it?
It's about kind of sharing time with loved ones, especially in the aging process, and trying to bring adventures into your mind. Maybe you can't move around as much, but you can absolutely use your mind.
You said this book had a lot to do with your dad. Share with us about that.
Yes, my dad was experiencing Parkinson's and the struggles that deal with Parkinson's, and my children were very young at the time, and so I wanted to find a way to honor him in his aging process and bring some light into his day.
So you do this through PAVO?
Yes.
Now, of course, you're here in Palos Verdes, which the peacocks are famous. What is it that made it special to have a peacock as the star of the show?
Well, I would take my children to the Malaga Cove Library for story time, and we'd see the peacocks, and so I just thought there needs to be a story told about these magnificent creatures.
Do you think you might want to be a writer when you grow up?
Yes.
And what do you like about peacocks?
That they are very pretty and they can spread their feathers.
Is there a part of the story you want to share that you can tell us about that you think about? Like, which part of the story do you really like?
The part where me and my brother are in it.
So maybe your mom can show us that. Of course, you're already the stars of the show. So what's happening there with your daughter and son at this part of the book?
This picture I actually shared with the illustrator. It was a picture I took of the kids actually walking into the Malaga Cove Library. And so at this story part, the peacock discovers the library and is trying to go in himself.
Well, everyone, we don't want to give them too much. Everyone watching, they're going to have to buy a copy of your book. Congratulations, and thanks for sharing. It's great to be sitting here with you, both put together. Billy the Bullfrog Finds a New Home. Talk about your book that you put together, what it's all about.
What it's about is Billy is a bullfrog. He's a pet. He has been left on the marsh because his owner can no longer keep him because he's moved. And this is what happens, unfortunately, to a lot of animals. They are left on places like preserves. This one takes place in the Madrona Marsh Preserve, although it's not actually mentioned. And it happens a lot. Animals are just left, and what happens, nobody really knows what happens to them. So I thought it would be interesting to say, what does it look like from the animal's point of view? How does he fare? What happens? And how does he manage to survive or not? And this is the adventures that Billy and how he does find a new home.
And you had the fun of illustrating the book?
Yes, I did. They are basically water media done with Chinese ink and watercolor, and they're done on a special kind of paper. It's Japanese paper, otherwise called washi. And they are mixed media. They're using, some of the backgrounds come from photographs of marble, and then I look at the marble image and I kind of extract what I see in it, like a Rorschach test in a way. And then I put Billy in, and it seems to have a nice natural effect.
My name is Don Christy. I'm the author of this book, Up Around the Bend, which I wrote in 2012 with Vicki Mack. And this book received a lot of attention. A lot of people really liked it, and I've been under pressure for the last year or two to write a new book. In the meantime, I decided to start a new book, and I met David Bellhouse. David Bellhouse is a journalism student at Harbor College, and he took an interest in this, and we have Vicki's blessing, and we are just starting to write the book together.
This is exciting for you, David, an upcoming, young, new, you would like to be a journalist, you said, an author now. So what do you see in terms of your efforts to help put this together?
Well, me and Don are going to be working very closely together. It's going to be a great experience for me. Like every day I spend with him, I'm learning something new about the area. And so it just really helps me get the feel for my community.
Let's go back to this book, Up Around the Bend, which has been here at the gift shop for a while. When did this come out, and what motivated you to put it together?
So when we sold our house, 99 Vanderlip Drive, which was the very first house built in Palos Verdes, I met Vicki Mack, and Vicki Mack had come to me and said, Don, what are you going to do after you sell the house? I said, I want to write a book. She goes, I'm a publisher. Well, both of us found out that we're of Greek ancestry, and we just had an instant bond, and we put this book together.
Don's going to share some of the highlights from Up Around the Bend, so we're going to move over to the slide area.
The slide area is a very unique area. It's the east side of Portuguese Bend. And here in the east side, if you buy a home there, you have to pay cash. You can't get home insurance, and you're kind of on your own. The good side of it is you get some incredible views, and it's kind of like living out in the country more so than the other side of Portuguese Bend.
So these photos are of houses exactly where?
These are the east side. These are homes in various stages of repair. A lot of these homes have jacks underneath them so they can be level. There are some homes in Portuguese Bend that have moved over the years and there's nothing underneath them to support them. So what happens is some of them come in, or you walk in their home and you walk at an angle because that's the flooring.
And because the book is Up Around the Bend, is this all about Upper Portuguese Bend, or what about, we know of like the Portuguese Bend Beach Club, is that part of it too?
What we did do is we did a portion in this book about Portuguese Bend Beach Club, what it used to look like in the 50s before the landslide destroyed it.
Talk about the fact that you had the opportunity to be with all these great local authors.
I love coming here every year. It kind of refreshes me, kind of refocuses my energies, because I see other people who have the same passion I do. Writing is a passion, and either you have it or you don't.
Karen, it's so great to see you. You're always at the Interpretive Center. You were here helping with the whale census during the year. Now you're here supporting all these local authors. I think you've bought every single book.
Yes, because I enjoy it, and I enjoy presenting those books to family members and friends which don't live here, so they can kind of get an idea how beautiful it is out here. And we are so fortunate living here, thinking about people who come to visit here on vacation. And we have 365 days vacation here, living in this area. It's beautiful.
All these books will be right in our gift shop here at the Interpretive Center. Talk about what that gift shop has to offer, and as well what's going on here at PVIC.
Yeah, so the gift shop, I mean, we kind of carry that same theme. We just keep things that are kind of related to us, and what people are really looking for is something that's memorable that they can take away that reminds them of their visit here. So we have kids' toys, books, jewelry, so a lot of great holiday shopping. A lot of our ornaments are coming in now, so if you're looking for that special gift, just come on and pop on down. We actually are going to be featuring this year, usually we close at 5 daily, so it's, Saturday, Sunday, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. is our hours, but on December 11th, we're going to feature a late night shopping hour. So we're going to keep the gift shop open until 9. So everybody that's working and doesn't maybe have as much time to get here before 5 o'clock, that'll give you an opportunity to come down and check out the shop and really get your holiday shopping taken care of.
And of course, all this here at Point Vicente Interpretive Center, almost every day of the year you're open. Talk about, we're getting up into whale watch season, but just what's here for the community all year round.
Yeah, so kicking off on December 1st, we'll have the American Cetacean Society doing the gray whale census. So that goes from December to the middle of May. And then coming in March, really exciting, we have been working hard on new exhibits. So if you didn't know, we're getting the lens from the lighthouse. So the Coast Guard is going to be on long-term loan here. So we are expecting a lot of visitors to come and see that, because it is a third order Fresnel lens. It's a very unique piece, and we're super stoked about that. And then our other exhibit is about whaling, and so it'll give the history of Portuguese Bend. Whaling took place here, and we're just really excited for that to open up in March.
I found you here with the books at PVIC, and you're after the fossils.
Yeah, I'm a fossil enthusiast.
You said you're actually a fossil geek.
Fossil geek, yeah. And anybody I usually talk to in my family, they'll think I'm a little strange because I'm into this, poking around for rocks and old bones and things like that.
Well, if there's any fossil expert here in our community, it's Joe Cocke, and you're after his book, right? You were looking at that?
Yeah, I've met him at fossil shows before. I know he's very knowledgeable. I know he's got several books out, so just happened to be poking through this one, and yeah, interesting stuff.
It was great today meeting so many of our fabulous local authors, hearing their stories, and of course, you can come right down here to the Point Vicente Interpretive Center's gift shop and pick up a copy of any of their books, and you'll also find so many more. That'll do it for this edition of Around the Peninsula. I'm Liz Brown Swanson. See you next time, and hope to see you right here at PVIC.